Whether you're learning Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, or French, you need to watch this video where I'm going to give you 37 tips and methods to learn any language. Don't try all 37 at once. Just pick 5 methods that feel exciting, build habits, and if those methods don't work for you, then you need to change them. I'm from Italy and so far I've mastered 3 languages: Chinese, Spanish, and English. Moreover, I've also tried to learn Japanese for 1 year, but then I stopped. So in the last 8 years, I've tried to learn new languages which are very different from each other, like Chinese and Spanish. And of course, in order to master these languages, I've tried different methods. And now I'm making this video to talk about these methods with you. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, if I need to learn a language, the process has to be easy and I shouldn't get bored, because when I get bored, then I will give up. That is why I've taken so many methods that people are already doing and I've been modifying them a little bit so that they are going to work for me. Let's jump right in. So the first method is that I don't watch movies, I watch TV series. Why is it? Because a movie, first I will spend 1 hour just to understand which movie I should watch. And then finally I will take that movie, it will last 2 hours and that's it. Instead with TV series, let's say there are 24 episodes, you have homework for 24 days, which is amazing. Next tip. People will tell you go on Instagram and TikTok and follow those people who speak your target language. Now, my advice is to directly delete the apps of Instagram and TikTok from your phone for 2 reasons. The first reason, of course, is because if you are going to have 30 minutes free of your time today, you're going to scroll those apps instead of learning a language. And the second reason is because watching videos of 15 seconds, 30 seconds, they are not going to teach you the language. You have to go to YouTube. On YouTube, you can find videos of 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. You are going to study more. You're going to consume more. Therefore, you're going to be faster to learn that language. Next tip that everybody gives you is to keep a daily journal. And yes, you have to do it, but you have to do it smartly. So you have to first go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give you 50 topics, 50, for beginners, specify for beginners on your target language. Why is it? Because you don't want to open the journal, right? And every day spending 30 minutes and being like, oh, what should I write about? Because if you are not a writer, like I'm not a writer as well, I'm going to get bored, I'm going to get confused, I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know what I should write today, and I will just abandon, I will just give up on this habit. This is why it's very crucial that you have to have those prompts, those questions, those topics written before you even start writing the topic of the day. Next tip that everybody gives you and that it is 100% overrated is that people tell you to label the objects inside your house. Let me tell you, in the first 6 months that you will be conversating with people, starting speaking the language, you're never ever going to use the word wardrobe or bedside table in your conversation. This is why the thing of labeling objects is very stupid. It's going to, waste your energies and waste your motivation. Next tip is something that I really like. Open an Instagram account and write things only in your target language. I tell you this tip because this was something that my friend was doing. He's from Venezuela and he was doing this in English. He opened this Instagram account. Those people that wanted to follow him were only like friends. And he was writing about his trips in English because English was his target language. Now, if you're going to tell me, Alessia, I don't want people to see my posts on Instagram because I'm going to speak nonsense there, then don't use Instagram. If you're learning Chinese, try to use a Chinese app. None of your friends and family is going to read your post, only a bunch of strangers, and that's it. And maybe, who knows, you might even grow on that platform because Let's remember that, for example, Chinese people love foreigners, or maybe you can find a Japanese app. Of course, this is based on the language that you're learning. Next tip is to create a word of the day habit. What does it mean? There are so many people out there on the internet that they have emails, newsletter. They teach you, let's say, Spanish, and they have every single day a new word to send you on your email address. That is why, while you are on the metro, you're just going to open your email and you're going to find the word of the day together with an example, together maybe with a video. So it's very nice because when you're doing nothing, when you're waiting for somebody, or maybe you are at the doctor waiting for your turn, you can open your email and study from there. If you want to learn any language faster, this is very important. People tell you to read children books, and let me tell you, it's very useless. Why is it? Because if you open children books, it's true that it's written in a very simple language. At the same time, if you think about it, they are going to talk about fairy tales, very abstract things, fantasy. They're not talking about something real. They're not talking about a real action. They're talking about the cat, which is flying. So it's truly useless. Don't waste your time reading children's books. One thing that I realized while I was learning Chinese is that many times I would know how to read a character, I would know how to pronounce that character, but once the professor would tell me, okay, Alessia, please write this character on the whiteboard, I would be like, I don't know how to write it. So I understood that copy-pasting words in your notebook is essential, because let's say you just want to communicate in that language, maybe because you want to go for a trip to France, then okay, of course you don't have to know how to write a word. But if you really want to master that language 100%, then you have to know how to write it. That is why it's very crucial to copy paste whatever thing you want. You can take a book and you can start copy pasting on a notebook, or maybe you can take a website and you start copy pasting. Or also you could take an audio and do some kind of dictation where you listen to words and then you write them down and then you check whether the grammar is correct or not. Next tip. Instead of waiting for your class with your teacher, maybe on Saturday, study daily. And you have to study in a very mindful way. You're going to study 10 to 15 high frequency words. Don't study words that you don't need. 10 to 15 every single day. It's very easy. Even if you have a 9 to 5, you can still manage to do this. Of course, if you have a part-time job, then you might even have the time to learn 20 words. More words you learn, the better. But remember that you don't just have to learn them today and forget them tomorrow. You have to review them. Next tip. As I was telling you before, if you're not going to see any results anytime soon, you're going to give up very fast. That is why you have to learn the high frequency words. How many words do you need? Around 1,000, okay? And let's say you bought a really nice book which is going to allow you to learn those basic words. Remember that even though the book is this small, is this thin, still there are so many useless words and you don't have to follow the book. For example, let's say here there is towel, shirt, shoes, and then there is also toothpaste, needle, buttons. Of course, I'm not going to need buttons, needle, or like, I don't know, towel, right? For now, I just need to know how to say shirt and shoes. So just jump to the right words that you really need for now, and then you will see that with time, after you will start speaking with somebody, you will pick many new words which are a little bit more advanced, which are a little bit more useless. Next, in case we're talking about a language like Cantonese or Chinese, you have to practice a lot the pronunciation and the tones, so you have to read out loud so much. I remember in front of my house, there is another house, and this lady, when she was studying English, she was repeating out loud so much that I could hear her every single afternoon. And I was admiring her because when I was studying, I was always like reading silently without ever speaking it. Then when I saw her, I was like, I have to do the same. And I saw the improvement. Next tip, when you're reading a book, try to summarize in your own words what you're reading, because this is going to challenge your brain a little bit to think about new words to describe the same thing that you are reading. Why I tell you this? Because many times you might not have somebody to practice your language with. For example, when I started learning Spanish, I had nobody to practice Spanish with. So what was I doing? Yes, of course I was speaking to myself in the mirror, but I was also trying to summarize things out loud, because it helps a lot to speak the language and to have a topic to speak it with. Next tip, I'm so sure that every day, maybe at work, maybe at home, you are taking some notes here and there. Maybe you're at school even. So instead of taking those notes in your native language, try to take them in your target language. For example, me, I don't study anymore. I already graduated, I'm working, and yet I don't write anything at work. But I have something to do at home, which is YouTube. So when I want to write a video idea, or maybe when I want to write something about, my calendar of YouTube and everything, I will write them in my target language instead of writing them in Italian. Next tip, of course, I don't want you to use language learning apps like Duolingo, because this is going to kill your motivation. This is going to waste your time. Instead of practicing with Duolingo for 1 month, just try to do something else. Don't waste your time with these apps, please. Next tip, join language exchange apps like Tandem. So, of course, if you're a girl, please modify the settings so that only girls can reach out to you. Why do I say this? Because before I was in this kind of apps, and all the men, they were trying to flirt with me. So it has become kind of a flirting app, like a dating app. So this is why you have to modify that settings, so that, let's say you find a girl who will practice with you, she will be actually serious about language learning. Next, travel to a country where the language is spoken, but wait a second, don't do it for 15 days, don't do it for 1 month. You have to extend a little bit. Let's say you're working in, in your home country, just go for a few months in another country, work there, so that you will be actually challenged to speak the language. Because if you're going to go just for a vacation, you're not going to learn anything. You have to live there in order to stay longer, in order to make friends, because it takes time to actually make friends. So you stay there, you make friends, you go to the supermarket, you talk with people. Maybe you are going to speak in that language with your coworkers. So instead of just traveling for a few days, which is not going to change the situation, just go, stay there, and try to make the most out of it. And remember always that people, they already have their own life. They already have their circle of friends. So they're not going to come to you and ask you, oh my God, I want to talk with you. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to stay in their comfort zone, even if you're very handsome or very beautiful as a girl. So you are the one who should take those opportunities, go to them, speak with them, ask for their phone number, and be like, listen, I want to learn this language. What do you think about exchanging language? Or maybe you can help them learning something else. But understand that you are the one who should take action, so go and get what you want. Next tip is something that I have never done, but I heard many people saying that it's very useful and funny, is going to join clubs and language meetups. Why is it? Because there are so many in Shanghai, and I've heard so many friends talk about them, saying that people are very outgoing and they're all there for the same purpose. So it's okay to make mistakes, and it's very nice because you can meet people in your same exact city. Next tip, associate new words with funny images. Now, this concept is the same as listening to a song and learning new words with a song is much more efficient than learning new words without any melody, because the melody of the song will help you learn those words faster. This is the same. If you associate a new word with a funny image, eventually you are going to learn it faster. So if you're going to learn faster, you're going to have more time and space for new words. Next tip: speak to ChatGPT in your target language. Ask it questions, see if those sentences are wrong, and see where you're making mistakes, and then re-listen to the answer that he gives you with the audio. A very funny and useful tip that I want to give you is to teach what you have already learned to your mom. Why specifically to your mom? Because unless your mom is not a polyglot, she's going to be like, what did you say? And then she's going to repeat it in a very funny way. And then you're going to repeat it 100 times before she's going to nail the pronunciation. So since you're going to have this very funny experience teaching your mom things, then you're going to remember pretty much faster. And yes, this was tested on my mom. Next one: repeat after an audio and mimic native speaker. Now, if those native speakers are speaking too fast, try to slow down the speed from the settings, repeat slowly, and then again fasten the audio so that you can re-listen to the original speed. Next one: listen to audiobooks instead of watching YouTube videos. Now, this is a little bit contrasting with the first tip that I gave you, what I was saying, watch YouTube videos instead of Instagram. But I'm giving you this actual tip because an audiobook is long, maybe 5 hours or 10 hours. It's very long. Instead of YouTube video is only 8 minutes. And again, then you have to look for another video to watch. So an audiobook is much better than a YouTube video. Another thing that I'm always doing is to record myself when I'm speaking in that language. And I'm recording myself every 2 weeks because this is going to help me a lot to track my progress. I want to be able to be like, oh my god, like last month I was not able to say this, and that, and now I have improved. And of course, the most beautiful thing is that in a few years, when you're going to re-listen those audios from 5 years ago, you're going to be like, oh my god, at that time I could not speak that language and I am so fluent in it. Next tip: describe your day in front of the mirror and try to go into details. What did you eat today? How did you feel? What did you do? And of course, what's your plan for tomorrow? This is going to help you a lot to use word tenses because you're talking about today, tomorrow. Maybe you can talk about yesterday so that you can use all the tenses that you want. And if you are a very beginner, then just stop yourself talking about today. You don't have to go to tomorrow and yesterday. Next one: read news articles in your target language, and it must be something that really interests you. It can be sports, it can be arts, it can be tech, it can be international politics, whatever it is. And then of course you can write down a few new words, and you can do the same exact thing with the podcast. You listen to the podcast and you hear some new words and then you write them down. Another tip that everybody gives you is to use spaced repetition with apps like Anki flashcards. Now, I don't really use flashcards, to be honest, but I remember that when I was learning Chinese, I was writing words down maybe 10 times, but I wouldn't do it like like writing always jia. I would wait a few minutes and be like, how was jia written? And I would write it again. And then after 1 hour, I would be like, how was that word written? And then I would write it again. So try to use spaced repetition. It doesn't matter if you use flashcards or not, but try to come up with your own way, your own solution. Next tip that is very well connected to one of those previous tips that I gave you about vocabulary is to not only study high frequency words, as I was telling you before, it's also to study those words that are very important to you. Because maybe you are into skating, or maybe you are into traveling. And of course, in the high frequency words, there are not going to be all the words that you need to describe your personal hobbies or maybe your job. So let's say you are an HR or maybe you are a tech guy. You have to learn a few words that are connected to your job. Next one, if you don't want to open an Instagram account to write about your own stories, then you can do something else which is very close to this. So you can go maybe on Facebook groups, you can go on Reddit or on Discord, and you can ask questions, you can write short stories. You will see that people will be more than happy to correct you, to help you, and to comment. Next one, if you're not in the country where the target language is spoken, you can do two things. You either send audio messages to the friends that are in that country, or you can do like me. So, after I learned the Chinese grammar, the Chinese words, I had to practice a lot in order to start speaking. And when I was not in China, I would directly go to the Chinese people here in Italy, in my little town. And I'm telling you, my town is very small. It's like 15,000 inhabitants. I would go to these 2 or 3 people. I would go to them, and of course, the first time like I went there, I introduced myself. I was like, look, I'm learning your language and I need a little bit of help. I need to practice my speaking. And they were so amazed and excited about this. They were like, of course, sure, you can come whenever you want. We can practice. I can help you, because Chinese people are always very excited about somebody who is learning their language. So you can do the same. If you're not in the same environment as those people that you need, you can try to find them wherever you are. Next tip is, of course, to think everything, to train your brain to think in your target language. So let's say you're going to the kitchen. You have to think, I'm going to the kitchen in that language. Train your brain saying, I'm opening the fridge. If you don't remember the word for fridge, try to note it down. Of course, you're not going to have your notebook whenever you're walking, so use your phone. I'm sure you have that always with you. Next one, something that I don't do because I'm not passionate about this, but if you are, then you can try. You can try to play video games in your target language. Maybe you can start at the beginning with a few words, chatting with those people who are playing with you. And then when you feel comfortable, you can start eliminating English and start speaking in your language, in your target language. Next tip is, of course, to create small goals for yourself. Let's say you have 1 week. Then tell yourself, this week I have to learn 50 new words. By the end of this month, I have to learn 200 words. If you do like this, it will be much easier for you to track down your progress and to understand in which direction you're going. As I was telling you before, try to study every single day a little bit. Even if you can study only 1 word this day, maybe tomorrow it's Tuesday and you can study 20 words, but try to study every single day. Try to be consistent, and please try to understand in which days you can do more and write those down. Let's say you can study more on Monday, on Wednesday, and on Friday. Then try to write and split the task for those 3 days. Maybe on Monday you can practice speaking. On Tuesday you can practice, new words. And on Friday you can practice reading. You can actually go on Canva and print one of those beautiful checklists. You print it, you hang it on the wall, and you write whether you have done, whether you have achieved your weekly goal. Like this, you're going to see whatever thing you're doing, you're going to see it on that printable checklist. And of course, once you hit those beautiful weekly goals, then you have to reward yourself with something in order to reinforce a little bit your motivation. And now, if you want to know how I learned Chinese in only 8 months with very amazing methods from my Chinese professor, you have to watch this video here, and I'll see you there. Bye bye!